So before I get to Fox News and Dominion, I want to talk about the moment all of this came clear. It came clear that all of these people are one people. They're all one organization working together. It was in 2013. It came out. Some of you probably remember that the IRS had targeted conservative Tea Party groups and slow-walked their tax-exempt status to keep them from speaking out during Obama's re-election campaign against Mitt Romney. So when it was found out after Obama was safely elected, he came out, and this is what he said. This is clip one.
I've reviewed the Treasury Department watchdog's report, and the misconduct that it uncovered is inexcusable. It's inexcusable, and Americans have a right to be angry about it, and I am angry about it. I will not tolerate this kind of behavior in any agency, but especially in the IRS.
Now, he did that because he didn't realize yet how deeply corrupt the press had become, how much they had become a part of the state and a spokesman for the intelligence agencies and for the bureaucracy. He still thought that they were biased, but on a story as big as this, and a story as big as IRS silencing dissent, they would come after him, right? But lo and behold, there was a little bit of fuss. Then the networks stopped covering it. They stopped covering it. They went silent for months about this. The revelations were censored. Here, Kim Strassel, great reporter, she had brought out a book, The Intimidation Game. They said, I'm quoting her, they said the United States has confusing tax-exempt laws. Not true. That a flood of social welfare and charitable applications overwhelmed the system. Not true. That low-level and rogue agents had stepped out of bounds. Not true. This went right up to the White House. Obama knew about it. It's obvious. And that even liberal groups had been swept up in the harassment. Definitely not true. Jim Jordan ultimately got to the truth of all this, but by then it was 2 years later. It was too late. It's memory hold on Google. Wikipedia lies about it. They say, oh yeah, they went after liberal groups too. They didn't. This was an attack on your right to free speech if you were a right winger, and it was to get Obama elected. And when Obama realized that the press was part of the deep state, it was all good. They were not going to. He realized, they're in with our corruption. I didn't understand. I thought there was still a working news media out there. He went on Bill O'Reilly's show and he said the IRS there's not a smidgen of corruption at the IRS. This is what he said. Cut two.
These kinds of things keep on surfacing, in part because you and your TV station will promote them.
But when don't folks you feel there are unanswered questions?
Bill, when you actually look at the stuff, there have been multiple hearings on it. What happened here is that you've got a 501c4 law that people think is confusing.
It's Fox News' fault. It's all Fox News' fault. They wouldn't stay with the program. Fox News told the truth about this. They covered it when everybody else was silent. Everybody else went silent. It's all Fox News' fault. If they just stayed quiet, nobody would even know about it. Just like they covered the violent George Floyd riots when everybody else was saying that they were mostly peaceful. Just like the fact that they covered that police aren't racist because they're dealing with the crime that's actually being committed when all the rest of the news media isn't saying that. They're all lying about, they're covering it up. And what's the problem with Fox News? The fake Duke lacrosse rape. Sean Hannity should have won a Pulitzer for exposing that, while everybody else, they still say it's true. At Duke, they still say that. They act as if that rape actually happened. CNN, the New York Times, they all covered this stuff up and demonized Fox for telling the truth so that the people who weren't smart enough to look for themselves wouldn't watch Fox and wouldn't believe the truth that they were hearing on Fox, that they weren't hearing anywhere else. And this is when Obama and the left realized, it's all one. The corporate media government complex is going to protect us. We can cheat, we can lie, we can do anything, and we can cover it up. We burn cities to the ground. We can burn cities to the ground. We can sexually butcher children, and everybody's going to say, that rotten Matt Walsh, take him, defund him on YouTube. He said we shouldn't sexually butcher children, instead of the horror that they should be expressing and experiencing, even, but will not, because it's all part of an agenda that is going to make them more powerful and more rich. More power to the powerful, more money to the rich. So now Fox News got burned, and in my opinion, they deserved it. They had their niche audience against this massive power of the networks and the corporations behind the networks and the bureaucracy and intelligence agencies that feed the networks. Fox had managed to carve out this niche audience, and they were afraid of losing it. They were afraid of alienating it by telling them what they thought was the truth. And they promulgated theories that Dominion voting machines stole the last election from Trump. And they knew, or at least they believed, those theories were untrue. So they were telling you things that they believed that they were untrue. And they settled a lawsuit with Dominion for almost close to $800 million. So that's a lot, that's a lot of money for one of these things. And I can't say for sure why they settled and didn't go to trial, but I suspect it's because they didn't want their stars testifying. Dominion had found in discovery emails where, some of the stars, Tucker Carlson said, these ideas are untrue, but our audience are good people and they believe them. And so they felt constrained to air the ideas they thought were untrue. They were afraid to lose their audience to Newsmax. They wouldn't do what I did, which was alienate people, to give it to you straight, to tell you straight what I thought. Because I told you, Fox is running a business. I'm on a mission from God, so we have different briefs to do. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Here are some clips of Fox saying that these voting machines were vulnerable to hacking. Cut 3.
Virginia just stopped using touchscreen computer voting because it's so vulnerable.
Right.
We need to look at all the voting machines. Every Secretary of State needs to be, assisted in making sure that they are not being hacked and attacked.
I continue to think that our voting machines are too vulnerable.
Researchers have repeatedly demonstrated that ballot recording machines and other voting systems are susceptible to tampering.
Even hackers with limited prior knowledge, tools, and resources are able to breach voting machines in a matter of minutes.
In 2018, electronic voting machines in Georgia and Texas deleted votes for certain candidates or switched votes from one candidate to another.
The biggest seller of voting machines is doing something that violates Cybersecurity 101, directing that you install remote access software, which would make a machine like that, a magnet for fraudsters and hackers.
These voting machines can be hacked quite easily.
Oh, wait. That wasn't Fox. Those were all powerful Democrats, from Hillary to Adam Schiff to Ted Lieu. They all said the same thing. So that means, by deduction, that Fox didn't get burned or sued for saying what all those Democrats said, because MSNBC wasn't sued. All of those politicians weren't sued. The Washington Post, where Adam Schiff was speaking, they weren't sued. Fox got nailed for saying that Dominion stopped Trump from winning. We want to be clear about this. None of these people got sued. So obviously what they were suing them about, and why their judge was so prejudiced, why the judge was so biased, was they were being sued because they were saying that Trump really won. Now, I've told you, I'm not convinced at all that Trump won, and I personally doubt the machines were hacked, but that's why this is being sued. So it's time for the good people who are not demons like Fox, who covered, the riots, and Fox, who covered, Hunter Biden's laptop. It's now time for the good people who kept, all stayed together with the deep state and with the intelligence operations and with the big corporations. It's time for them to gloat. So let's give a few seconds to Jake Tapper. This is cut 5.
Fox is going to pay Dominion Voting Systems $787,500,000. Dominion's lawyer saying, quote, today represents a ringing endorsement for truth and for democracy. Fox trying to put a positive face on what can only be interpreted as one of the ugliest and most embarrassing moments in the history of journalism. Fox issued a statement saying, quote, we are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion Voting Systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. The settlement reflects, this is going to be difficult to say with a straight face. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. We are hopeful that our decision to resolve the dispute with Dominion amicably instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial allows the country to move forward from these issues. Unquote.
He's laughing. Jake, dude, you work for CNN. You work for a place where they stood outside burning buildings and said, oh, yeah, this is a mostly peaceful riot. Nobody watches you because they know you're a bunch of lying gas bags. If the government wanted to let fewer of its documents to be leaked, its secret documents, they would put them on CNN's primetime shows because no one would see them there. Recently, before the House Judiciary Committee, a former deputy director of the CIA, Michael Morell, says that the guy who is now Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, but was Biden's campaign aide at the time, called them up and instigated the letter signed by 51 former intelligence officials saying the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Okay, so now we know the Secretary of State actually participated in this scam that was signed. 4 of these people were former CIA heads saying Hunter Biden's laptop, which now is just absolutely unveiled incredible corruption in the Biden family, was Russian disinformation. Here's how the great people at CNN and MSNBC covered it with their journalistic standards while Fox was covering it.
Biden's secret emails.
A really fishy story.
The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop computer that was brought to a repair shop in Delaware in the spring of 2019.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks.
All the hallmarks
of a Russian
disinformation.
Russian disinformation.
Disinformation campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
violate your ethics there, Jake. It make you laugh when CNN talks about journalistic ethics. Fox got the story right. Fox gets a lot of stories right that CNN lied and lied and lied about. Here's another one. By the way, just so you know, I mean, there's now a U.S. tax special agent who wants whistleblower protections because he wants to testify that the criminal investigations into Hunter Biden have been hampered by political considerations. The big guy wants to protect his 10%, and he's got his foot on the DOJ as they investigated this. All right, let's hear some more gloating from the honest, decent, righteous good guys against the demon Fox, who was laid low here. Here is the New York Times, a former newspaper, on Knucklehead Row, their opinion page. Michelle Goldberg, chief knucklehead. She said, part of Fox's sinister on-air brilliance is the way it encases its audience in a comprehensive alternative reality. Okay? Now, for once, the network will be forced to account for itself outside the right-wing bubble. Michelle, my darling, you work for the New York Times. They gave themselves Pulitzer Prizes for their coverage of a Trump-Russian collusion story that was a complete fabrication of Hillary Clinton's campaign. They put their Pulitzer Prize on the shelf next to the one they got for covering up Stalin's starvation of millions. It's like, we are the best at this crap, Nobody does this like we do it. Brett Kavanaugh was accused by a woman of being attacked, was accused by a woman of sexual misconduct. This woman, he may never have met. There's no proof he ever met this woman. The New York Times pounded it day after day after day. They gave full coverage to Julie Swetnick when she said that Kavanaugh stood online outside rooms where women were being gang raped before Swetnick was exposed by 2 questions on one of the TV stations. I think it was NBC. But when Joe Biden, who's constantly putting his hands on little girls whose own daughter says he took showers with her that were probably inappropriate, when he was accused by a woman who worked for him, so we know they were together, he was accused by Tara Reid saying he pressed her against a wall and stuck his fingers up her. The New York Times said nothing about the story for 20 days and then buried it inside the paper on Easter Sunday and said, nothing to see here. The editor, Dean Baquet, said, the Kavanaugh story was in the news. The reason we didn't cover it is the Kavanaugh story was in the news, but the Tara Reid story wasn't in the news. In other words, we didn't cover it because we didn't cover it. That's why. He said, well, Kavanaugh was up for a big job in the Supreme Court. Biden was literally running for president. But Fox News is the problem. So talk about encasing your audience in a comprehensive alternative reality. Those emails from Fox, they show that Tucker and Sean and Laura knew that Trump's people were lying, and they ran with the story anyway. But the New York Times and Jake Tapper and NBC and ABC and CBS and the Washington Post, when they demonize Fox News, they're not just lying to their audience, they're lying to themselves. For more Klavan-y wonderfulness, like and subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.